I was just beginning to get the rhythm.
It's
Howdy,
over.
folks. Welcome back or welcome aboard. You are listening to the Doc Owen Show. And as the tagline to the show says, if you got the Twitter feed or you're hooked up to us on Spreaker or you're listening to it after the fact, this is the beginning of our Thanksgiving special show. And you'll find out why we're doing that throughout the show. I think it'll be fairly apparent. Well, we'd like to welcome all of you and welcome to the Hilltop Studios too.
I'm a surefire.
And
Uncle Bachi.
in the house, ready to rock and roll. Big show. Really good show. We are winging it tonight. We have no special guest. So the entire 55.00 minutos will be filled by us. We have plenty to talk about.
Yep.
We are all over the social media, Facebook, Twitter, various other sources as Doc Owen Show, DOCOWENSHOW. But what we are proudest of is our blog that is growing thanks to the efforts of Uncle Bachi when he's not digging in the garden or fixing the doors on the shed. Actually, now that it's not hot out all day long, we don't get nearly as much volunteer work out of him as we used to. So, the weather's nice and he goes outside. But thankfully, we got a report tonight that the shed doors are repaired. So now it's on to the next project, whatever that is. But Bachi has done an excellent job of putting all of what you hear on the air that are our historical reports. As you probably know as a regular listener, Uncle Bachi is the Doc Owen Show historian. We drag him along from time to time. He lives in about the 1810, 1812 time frame. But, other than that, he's perfectly normal. But not only what you hear on the air, but the research that doesn't make it to the air is also out on the blog. So he's doing a tremendous public service.
A note on that: if any of the things that I put out there,
Yeah.
they're all linked together.
Yeah.
Okay. I want our listeners to know that they can make copies of any of that.
Yeah.
As long as they don't publish it somewhere, they can make their own copies.
Right,
They can
right.
put notes in there if they wish to communicate with me.
Oh, they can?
Yes, absolutely.
They can correct
they
you?
They have. Yes.
Okay.
They can correct me right there in the show.
So
notes.
it's
just let me know that you did it.
So it's a wiki bachi.
It's kind of, yeah.
It's a
wiki bachi.
It's a wiki bachi.
Right.
How about that? Never thought of it that way.
All right. And we have apps. We have free apps. I used the plural, but I understand as of tonight, I don't know how long it's been going on, but we just noticed it, that you can't find the Doc Owen Show on Android devices. So I think that's a temporary situation. We'll get to the bottom of it.
I'll look into
it is totally available on the Apple store. So, download that free app and listen to our show, listen to our podcast, get involved. That's a great way to do it. And coming up very soon, very, very soon, you will be able to talk to your Alexa device, which comes from Amazon. And all you got to do is say, Alexa, Doc Owen Show.
Yes.
And it will play on your Alexa device.
That's pretty
Awesome.
Is that cool?
That is so
That's
cool.
nifty.
And I just ordered a new Fire TV from Amazon.
Yeah.
And that has Alexa on it, and you can talk. And yeah.
So
That's
so
right. You
so
talked about that.
so
Connect my TV
now
to it.
now that we're hooking up the video to the
Yeah.
Doc Owen Show, you'll be able to see the studio and who we are and what's going on and all of that jazz.
Wow.
We've been testing that.
That means I gotta get all set before the show and get ready. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yep. Bachi's got to do his hair. We got all kinds of issues going on
Nobody
around
says
here.
I'm in the raw.
So we
No,
got to dress
that's-
decently?
Well, just from the waist up. It's a TV thing, remember?
It's kind of like Channel 12. And
So I can be naked, but y'all never mind.
Absolutely not.
I don't know about that now. This
Okay.
is a family show.
Let's fill
Sorry.
the time with quality information.
Yes, let's do that.
All right. We always, tonight we are very seriously going to talk about Thanksgiving. And the reason that I picked that, because during the course of the week, the last couple of weeks, the last 3 weeks, we're going to talk about the NFL. We're going to talk about some, blah, blah, blah. But, it's like this country, the vast majority of these people, vast majority of us, myself included, tend to take the maximum of a week. Maximum. Really only 2 to 3, maybe 5 days out of 365 to give thanks. Well, that ain't right. And right now, I think more than we need a good buildup. And President Trump, say it after me, President Donald J. Trump
Yeah.
came out the other day and said something about Christmas, and that Christmas was going to be really big this year, that we were all going to be saying Merry Christmas. And I don't know whether y'all remember it or not, but on the show, we made mention of the fact, and we noticed that last Christmas, after he was elected, before he was inaugurated even, folks were saying Merry Christmas far more often than they have been for the last 8 years.
Awesome.
Okay,
Their prayers
and
were
so
answered and they were upbeat.
He's already
right.
brought it up again. I'm kind of going into that routine of I'm not going all the way to Christmas because I think we've got Thanksgiving to go through first. And for those of you who celebrate Halloween, okay. So we always start our show in a very traditional manner after what we've just done. Ms. Surefire gives us an inspirational quote. Uncle Bocce gives us a day in history, and then I follow that up with a leadership quote, and then we go on from there. So, Ms. Surefire, take it away.
And as usual, tonight's quote comes from brainyquote.com. That's BRAINY quote.com. And tonight's quote comes from somebody that we're pretty familiar with. His name is Confucius. Confucius.
That always confuses me every time I hear that.
Yeah, it's like it didn't even spell the same. So, he was a Chinese philosopher in BC times. And BC, for people that aren't taught that in school anymore, means before Christ time.
Go for it. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Got it.
BCE now.
Oh, there
Political correct.
Oh, no.
What's that mean? I don't. It's the first time I've heard that.
Before the Common Era. They want to get Christ out of it altogether.
No,
You
it
have
means
got to be
before
kidding me.
Christ.
No, I'm serious. That is what they. Yeah.
Oh,
I think I remember you talking. Yeah, about that.
Oh, there's a whole series of shows. Sorry, you want to
No,
start over?
that's okay.
Okay.
I just wanted to let the people
Confucius
know what it meant.
from
Yes.
BC.
Yes.
Okay.
Very important.
Yep.
His quote is, "The strength of a nation derives from the integrity of the home."
Oh,
Amen, Confucius.
He was man back
I
then.
didn't know that was attributed. That is awesome. I love that one.
you can't say amen, Confucius,
Why not?
because amen didn't come out until after Confucius was gone.
So he has
Oh, I
to
see.
say Confucius, amen.
Oh,
I don't know.
I'm just-
I thought he was
I
a
don't know.
Roman. Confucius? Yeah,
He was
go ahead.
Chinese,
Yeah, I
like
know.
in fortune cookie. Okay.
What was in the fried chicken tonight? Okay, Uncle Bocce, what went on in history today?
Something great. One of the greatest things in American history happened today.
October
It's a
the
victorious day today.
October the 19th.
Shout from the rooftops.
Goodness.
On October 19th, 1781, victory at Yorktown.
Oh wow!
We won, folks. We won.
Who'd we beat?
Yeah.
We beat the biggest army and navy in the world at the time.
the Army Navy.
The British. Poor old Cornwallis. They had him. So,
Hold up. Good job. So this is when the victory at Yorktown was declared.
Absolutely.
Is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Well done.
That's good.
This is a lengthy leadership quote, and it's not really a leadership quote as much as it is something that I saw posted on one of the pages that I follow, and I felt it expressed things quite well. And it's actually what got me to thinking about Thanksgiving and being thankful. So here we go. When the president lied to me and claimed 4 Americans were murdered because of a video insulting Muslims, I didn't take a knee. When the president shipped pallets of cash to my sworn enemy, I didn't take a knee. When the president failed to identify Muslims as terrorists and Islam as an enemy of the state, I didn't take a knee. When the president defended a thug who what? Oh, bum rushed law enforcement, I didn't take a knee. When the president lied to me and said I could keep my doctors and my premiums would go down, excuse me, I didn't take a knee. When the president sat by passively and enabled ISIS to emerge as a stronger force dedicated to spreading Islamic ideals and continued to murder women and children with chemical gas, I didn't take a knee. Finish it up.
Oh, God. Oh, where are you?
Wow.
Wow. Okay. While the president identified the weather as the greatest threat to America's safety while Muslims worldwide are murdering innocent people, I didn't take a knee. When the president chastised law enforcement for their actions but ignored the violence in our streets, I didn't take a knee. While the president insisted that pacifism and reforms in numerous areas of the globe would bring peace, but instead led to the strengthening of those who seek to destroy us, I didn't take a knee. In all that I never disrespected our country, our armed forces and veterans, or our nation. I remained vigilant. When I got a new president, that's when I took a knee then to Thank God by William Howell.
Thank you,
Great.
Emma. Sorry,
Uh-huh.
folks, I just couldn't get rid of that cough, and I wanted to finish. Isn't that good?
Yeah, that is awesome.
I mean, think about it.
Yep.
Just think about what was just written.
Yeah.
I don't know who this gentleman is. I'd love to make his acquaintance someday.
Yeah, really.
It tells it exactly like it is. And I apologize if that triggers some folks out there, but you need to be triggered. You know, this has gone on long enough. As my mother used to say, this is no longer funny.
Yes,
you go.
And that meant that was a serious reprimand to stop whatever was going on.
It's like the look. I used to get the look.
Look.
And you don't want to go past the look because you don't know what's going to happen.
Well,
to you.
I'd have done that, but that doesn't play well on the radio.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I thought about that.
That's a
I was
good-
gonna,
that's a good- yeah,
I was
uh-huh.
going to give everybody the look,
Yeah.
but they wouldn't know.
But
it.
it'd be like, what was that?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's show the audience what the look is on radio. Okay,
Okay.
Yeah,
on
ready.
3, everybody do the
Yeah,
look.
yeah.
You and the audience too. You can play.
Yep.
You can play. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's scary. That's scary. That's scary.
Yeah, my mother used to accompany that with a pinch somewhere where it hurt.
Ooh. Okay.
So tonight, first of all, we're going to do Uncle Bocce's Brief, which is 8, 10, 12 minutes worth of history. We are tromping through the presidents of the United States. As Uncle Bocce is prone to do, we are talking about JQA. If you weren't with us, and you can go back in the podcast. We tend to do 2 shows on each president. I think we gave Mr. Jefferson 3.
Yes, we did.
And still cut him short.
Yes.
But, we got to move on. And so
You said short.
I'm allowed to say short.
Oh, I see. Okay, go ahead.
I earned the right to say short.
Okay.
So we're going to be talking about John Quincy Adams. Uncle Bocce,
Yes, absolutely.
it's all yours, sir.
And yeah, tonight is a victorious night or day.
Yep.
Not only because of Yorktown, but it's also a night of firsts. We're going to see some really big firsts here, and big
It's also
accomplishments.
a new moon.
Well, fine. Go howl. I don't care.
I have been.
Okay, so John Quincy Adams, the 6th president of the United States, son of the 2nd president of the United States, John Adams. JQ has the position of having the very most high estimated IQ of any president, anytime, anywhere.
Even higher than Thomas Jefferson.
Higher than Thomas Jefferson.
Wow.
This man was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. His IQ was 168.75. He could have and should have
I
been,
couldn't live with myself if I were any smarter than that.
well, hey, but he should have and could have been the very best president in the world, but there was something happening that blocked him. Sounds familiar like today, doesn't it?
I don't
Think about Trump. We'll talk a little bit more about that. He was educated in private school in Paris,
Okay.
the University of Leiden in
Yeah.
Netherlands. He acquired excellent knowledge of French and a little bit of Dutch. He read law or studied law at Newburyport under the tutelage of Theophilus Parsons. Not that you would know who that is, but anyway, just to give you an idea.
I grew up with some
He
Parsons.
studied. Okay. He studied a lot. His full name is John Quincy Adams. He has two nicknames. One is the Old Man Eloquent. Old Man Eloquent. I mean, he was only 57 when he started the presidency. But anyway, that's one of the things, because you look at his picture, you can see that there's an eloquence about just looking at him.
He
the
definitely had a way of carrying himself.
Oh yes, definitely, very, very much so.
Right.
Looked in charge.
Yep. How big was he? How tall was he?
He was 5'7". Yeah,
So the cameras were always, they had to get down on the ground so he
they
was taller.
they did. So he wasn't a very tall man. He was also known as the abolitionist. And we'll find out a little bit more about that as we go on.
He
Okay,
planted-
about
so-
why he got that name of the abolitionist.
Because he planted all the trees.
Well, there you go. Just like
That's
Johnny
arborist.
Appleseed.
That's what?
Arborist.
Oh, that's right.
Okay. He was a member of the Democratic Republican Party. Remember, that's the party of Thomas Jefferson.
Yes.
But he had also been a Federalist and a Whig, but he didn't run for anything under those titles. He's from Massachusetts.
Wait. He was the president. He was a Democrat Republican
When he ran
when he ran for president.
Yes.
Prior to that, he had two other party affiliations.
Yeah, Federalist at one point in time, was probably early in his career, and then he was also
Okay, help
a
the
Whig.
listeners out. Or were the Federalists still there when the Democrat Republican? That's my point.
They were taken care of.
But the way it was set, you don't want to think that he was changing parties.
No.
He was staying true to himself.
Right.
The party label was changing as it developed.
You got that right.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Okay. As far as his religion, he was brought up as a Christian, but he ended up being a Unitarian. He was born July 11th, 1767, in Braintree, Massachusetts. He died on February 23rd, 1848, in Washington, D.C.
There's the secret right there.
And he died from
168 IQ, born in Braintree.
Braintree. Yeah, I did. Wow, I see.
there you go.
This man knows how to connect the dots. I tell you what. And he died of cerebral hemorrhage. He was 80 years old when he died.
His freaking brain exploded.
I guess so.
He got tired.
First Unitarian Church, Quincy, Massachusetts, is where he is interred. He had 4 children. couple of them died early. One died in infancy. But he had 4. He was in office from March 4th, 1825 to March 4th, 1829, and he stepped into the office at age 57. He played a lot of roles before
One
he
term.
became president.
One term.
Yes, sir. Yes, and we'll find out why.
Good.
He deserved more than that, but we're getting into some
We're
very interesting political things going on now.
Okay.
Okay. So he was a secretary to U.S. Minister in Russia. He was minister in Netherlands. He was a minister to Prussia, something we don't hear very much.
No.
He was a United States senator before he became president.
Okay.
And he was elected to the Senate from Massachusetts.
A lot of guys take that path.
Yep. He was also minister to Russia. He was a peace commissioner at the Treaty of Ghent in 1814, which ended the War of 1812. And Ghent, I think, is in Belgium. I think.
Okay.
He's Secretary of State under Monroe.
Okay.
He was probably the best Secretary of State that we've ever had. He was really good.
Up to that point, he was,
Yes,
for sure.
yes. And he was then he's the only president after office who sought an election career. He became a member of the House of Representatives for quite some time.
Interesting.
Yeah, for 12 years.
So he didn't. He was so smart he didn't know how to earn a living. Or?
I don't know.
Not like they
Speaking
made
of
a
a
lot,
living,
not
he
like
only
that.
made $25,000 a year.
Right.
You know, that's still.
Yeah.
Then it was a lot of money, $470,000. He married a lady named Louisa Catherine Johnson, and she was born in New York City. They were married on July 26th, 1797, and she died of a stroke long after her husband did.
Oh, okay.
Now, here we go.
Okay. So what you're about to dive into is
The
some of the
election.
things that we were looking to see if there was a precedent to what's going on today.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
That's what I thought.
Okay, so the election of 1824,
Yeah.
you needed 131 electoral votes to win out of
Yep.
261.
Okay.
Okay, so
about
he
half.
had.
Go
Sorry,
ahead. No, go
he
ahead.
had a couple of other people who ran against him. One of them being Andrew Jackson, the
Yeah.
the general Andrew Jackson.
Yeah.
This is where it gets really, really interesting. Neither one of them, and there were a couple of others who had quite a few electoral votes too. Neither one of them met the threshold.
Okay.
However, both, and this is the first time they actually started counting popular votes. Jackson beat him by a considerable margin as in electoral votes. He beat him, but he only had 84 electoral votes.
Okay.
Quincy did.
Okay.
Jackson had 99.
Right.
However, neither one of them meet the threshold.
To win.
So what
Right.
happens when nobody gets it? Where does it go?
I don't know. The House of
It
Representatives.
goes to the House by Constitution.
Back
It
in
goes
the
to
day,
the
right.
House of Representatives,
Right.
and they choose. Now, here's where some shenanigans were going on,
Right.
Because Jackson was pissed. He did not like John Quincy Adams at all. Okay, and he felt that this election was stolen from him. So it went to the House of Representatives.
Jackson thought it was stolen from him.
Yes, just like some people today.
He didn't.
think.
He didn't make the numbers.
You're absolutely right.
Duh.
He didn't. So in the House of Representatives, Henry Clay, who came in fourth as for the electoral votes, he decided that he was going to back John Quincy Adams,
Yeah.
and he had a lot of power in the.
Yeah.
He was the representative Henry Clay. Yeah. So what happened was, by a narrow margin, the Congress or the House of Representatives elected John Quincy Adams as president. But that's because, but then guess what he did? Henry Clay got Secretary of State under Adams. that was a very bad thing for Adams, actually, because it kind of like showed a light on corruption, maybe.
Okay.
You know, so Jackson was he was
little
really
favoritism.
Yeah,
I mean, it's as we talk. The reality is one thing. Optics is another.
Exactly.
And optics is
Exactly.
very important in politics.
exactly. Yeah,
That is politics.
exactly. So there you go. Some backroom stuff going on.
So, okay, I'm confused. So, that was when JQA got elected the first time,
yes, sir.
the only time.
The only time.
So, what happened the second time that he ran for office? Did he lose?
We're going to find that. Well, yes, he did. He did lose, and he lost to a very crude Andrew Jackson. And that was one of the most contested, and we talked about that because I wrote an article about it.
Right.
It was a very contested. Jackson was really, he had no use for Adams at all, none whatsoever.
Where is Jackson from? Refresh
Tennessee.
my memory.
Tennessee.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he was a southern
He
backwoods,
was-
rough and tough.
Absolutely.
You know, kind of rough around the edges.
Mm-hmm.
You know, constantly on his Twitter. You know, putting stuff out there about JQA and
Absolutely.
you know, making nasty and getting up at 2:00 in the morning and putting out tweets and all kind of things. I
There
remember.
you go.
Okay.
There you go. He did not add to the cabinet. It was the same 5 cabinet positions.
Okay.
I'll just skip over that.
Okay.
And some notable events. There were no states admitted to the Union during his presidency. He had several court appointments. One was the Supreme Court, only one. He had no circuit court appointments, but he did have 11 district court appointments. So
That's probably
he
why he
had
didn't
his-
get reelected. He just
Yeah,
sat around
that's-
thinking all the time.
Well, yeah, well, no, that's really not why he didn't get reelected.
Okay.
But how much time we got here? I don't want to go over time.
You got about 2.7
Okay.
minutes.
As a diplomat, he was considered
the
as
timer automatically, when I talk, the timer automatically
Stops.
puts money. Yeah, gives you
Okay.
time back.
You gotta put credit back.
Right,
Deposit. Mhm. Yeah.
he is considered by his peers and by people even today that he was one of the greatest diplomats and secretaries of state in American history.
JQA was.
He was that good. Okay. Now, in his domestic policy, and let me address this right now before we go any further. The reason Quincy had tremendous ideas. He was very, very set on doing good things for this country.
Right.
Really had a lot in him, and he had a lot to give.
He just didn't know.
However, the Congress, even in his own political party, they just did not like him.
What was it about this
They-
guy they didn't like? We got
I
to dig
don't
into
know.
that. He must have had.
He's-
There must have been something. Was he condescending? Was he?
Well,
you
he's a
know-
little erudite, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and just people just didn't. I don't know why they just
Couldn't. He was so smart.
Well,
he couldn't.
because-
He couldn't get down and connect with his
Yeah.
fellow man.
Yeah, exactly. Inflation was a big issue. However, during his term, there was actually a slight deflation.
Okay.
Okay, so he had tremendous ideas about building new infrastructure, canals, harbors, bridges, and other public. As much as he supported, and if you remember back, Alexander Hamilton also had this idea about American system, about connecting
Right.
the different places. However, Congress said nope. Said nope. They wouldn't go along with him. Just like today, Trump.
Well-
Congress will not go along with him.
No, that's true. May I draw an analogy?
Absolutely. you may.
Okay. At that time, there was no income tax. Right.
There were very few taxes. Yes.
Exactly. So Congress didn't. The only the reason they do things now is to line their pockets.
Yes.
And grow the government.
Yes.
So Congress in JQA's day was like, that's great. How you going to do that? Who's going to pay for it?
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
there was no mechanism there. I'm not making
No, I
excuses.
understand.
I'm like
Absolutely.
pointing out a reality to the audience that there was no incentive for Congress to do anything. They didn't have lobbyists. They didn't have people trying to, you know, the ditch digging union wasn't in their face telling them, yeah, we need to build this canal, and if you do, I'll give you $1.50 a day back, kickback, and yada yada. Okay.
Yeah, but he used the military to survey. You know, he got around it a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Right.
You know, to construction operations, and administration achieved considerable progress
Right.
in support of harbor improvement and road and canal development. So they did get some things done. The Cumberland Road to Ohio was done. Beginning of the Chesapeake Bay
Well, they got
and Ohio Canal.
They got that done because they had the Army. They had the Army
Right.
Corps of Engineers, and
Exactly.
everybody believed in it because of the trade.
Yes, sir. The Delaware and Chesapeake Canal, which connected those two bodies of water.
Yep.
Portland to Louisville Canal, which also connected the Ohio River and the Great Lakes. So some great things. And he enlarged and rebuilt the Dismal Swamp Canal in North Carolina. And there was are we out of time?
Was the body of water called the Dismal Swamp?
Apparently it was, because it was called the Dismal Swamp Canal in North Carolina because it had gone on disrepair, you know, so and there was another domestic issue was tariffs. Tariffs were where he was strong. He wanted to have really high tariffs. The South said
Translate for your audience.
tariffs are adding, they're taxes.
Bingo.
They're taxes,
What were we
yeah.
just talking about that he didn't have to support all of his great ideas?
That's one of the reasons.
Moolah.
That's one
So-
of them. So
Moolah.
he wanted to levy very high taxes.
Now we
The
know.
South said no.
Now we know in spades why the guy from Tennessee really didn't like this man.
That's right.
And Tennessee is that way until this day.
Yeah, yeah,
Think about it.
yeah.
I love it.
They
I love
called
it.
his tariffs of abomination. Now
That
that's-
is so cool, the stuff you find out.
Yeah, I know it is. It really is, and how it
Sometimes
connects
I think,
to today.
well, and I know, and you're digging into it, and sometimes I think, you know, you don't realize what you've found until you
Yeah, until you
throw it
speak
out there in the light and you speak it. Yeah, cool.
Okay, so I guess we'll stop there. Next week we'll talk about foreign policy. Didn't have very much. It only really involved trade.
So
mostly.
this was week 1 of JQA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So next week we'll pick it up there.
We're going to
We'll
do 2
look
weeks
more into
on
his
a guy that's
philosophy.
only served 1 term.
Yeah, because there's just a lot about this guy.
All
He
right.
packed it all in one turn.
He tried to.
Wasn't but
tried to.
5'7", for goodness sake.
Yeah.
That's huge. Okay. Emma,
Okay.
You had something to
Uncle
Yeah.
Bocce, UNCLEBACI at DocOandShow.com. Sorry, I always forget that.
don't
That's okay.
don't step in front of Bocce's sign off. Woo, buddy.
Thanks, Bobby.
Love you guys.
Well-
Thanks for listening.
Well
Thanks,
done, lad.
UB.
Well done.
Okay, one of our avid listeners, Ed,
Yep.
also would
Hi,
like
Ed.
to add, hi, Ed, would like to add this date in history was also very important to note that Led Zeppelin was announced as a band this day many years ago. Thank you, Ed.
All right. Thank you, Ed. Cool.
Who was Led Zeppelin?
Oh, jeepers. It wasn't a
If
dirigible.
I know, I'm surely y'all too know. Come on now.
Okay.
Get real.
Good job, gang. 2 things to talk about tonight as we move on. One of them is the feeling of Thanksgiving, and that quote that Ima was kind enough to finish off for me, and it just struck me about all of the things that are going on in this country. Obviously, the quote that the little message that we started off with had to do with all of the people taking a knee. I saw an image earlier this week of a city council in Michigan, I believe, and some of the city council members took a knee
I saw that.
when they were starting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't know. It is really beyond me how this can be tolerated, and why in the world anyone would think it's a good idea. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I mean,
Right there with you.
I have been on this show and one of the first to say that we're not perfect. And particularly on the world stage, we can be a really bad actor sometimes. And maybe it's not all of the American people, but the American government represents itself in a fairly unseemly manner
Yeah.
across a lot of the world. Some of the world, let's put it that way.
Yeah. Well,
know what I'm saying?
there's a very real reason why this is happening. You know, besides Obama, but it's happening because we have given up educating our kids. They don't know what America is about. They have no idea of the thankfulness that they should have in their heart for what people do.
Confucius says,
It goes back to
That's
that
absolutely
statement. The strength
Confucius.
of a nation derives from the integrity of the home.
There you go. Absolutely. And that's why these young people today are taking a knee, because they have no freaking idea. And of course, everybody wants to mimic them. It even happened in Congress, on the floor of Congress. I think it was Sheila Jackson Lee came up to the podium, walked in front of the podium, and took a knee.
I'm speechless.
I know.
Why? I can't tell you about my introduction to Sheila Jackson Lee. I was at an event with her one time, and it wasn't nice.
It may not have been her, though.
She
It was.
hat.
It was. It was.
She's not the one that
Congresswoman.
was recent.
Yes. No.
That's a lady from Florida.
Oh.
Okay, who?
I wonder if it was her. It might have been that lady from Florida.
But
I don't
Sheila
know. Anyway.
Jackson Lee is the one that dresses in African garb
Oh, that.
from Houston. She's a
Yes.
House of Representatives.
I know who you're
Represents
talking about.
Yeah, I might be wrong on the name of the person.
southeast section of Houston or something.
Okay.
Low information neighborhood. Where was we were talking about
Sorry.
taking. That's okay.
Got you off
Oh,
court there.
but I
Sorry.
do want to add that.
Well, we were all talking about taking the knee, but that one threw me off so much that
Yeah, that you don't know where to go now.
yes,
For a commercial break, but not really.
yeah.
Ed also would like to say Uncle Bachi is his hero.
Oh my gosh.
There you go.
Thank you, Ed.
Well, thank you, Ed. Wow, that's the nicest thing I think anybody's ever said to me.
Ed, you're fired.
There you go.
JK.
From the mouth of Doc.
And the only reason that for the rest of the audience, the reason we have this fictitious guy who's really not fictitious, he's a very good friend of the show. But the reason he's not on the phone is because he's about 30,000 feet up in the air.
That's right.
This is his travel night to get from his work location to his school location, and so he's flying, and he listens to us up in the air. And
He's a
he
hardworking
he
person.
probably could call, but it's too expensive, so he's got it on his headset while he's doing his homework. Okay, so back to taking a knee. It is so. What do you do? What think you? The audience, the people listening to the sound of our voices, to the Doc Owen Show, and to the things that we present. If you're in the area, if you're at a city council meeting, and somebody does this, what do you do?
Exactly. What do you do?
I want you to think about that, and I want you to be prepared. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't want you to be caught, because this is obviously not going to stop. Apparently, somebody thinks it's freaking cute. It's kind of like we got some young people that work at my day job, and one of them has developed one of these things called a man bun. You know, he's a young guy and
A lot
everything.
of people wear them.
So I stopped him. I said, "What's the deal with that? That man bun that you grew?" He said, "I don't know." I said, "What do you mean you don't know? What does that stand for?" He said, I don't know. You know?
They
And-
even have a Ken doll like that.
Well, I said, well, then how do you know it doesn't stand for something that you might be embarrassed to say you're one of?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I saw him again today.
Yeah.
He ain't got the man bun.
There you go.
I made him think.
Yeah. That's what we need to do is confront people. With it.
Yeah, ask him why.
That's what I'm saying about the take a knee. Walk up to that fool that's down on a knee and say, what
Why?
are you doing?
Yeah, and why?
And why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Do you know what you are doing? Well, yeah. I saw it on TV. This
That's
football
about the
star
size
was
of it.
doing it, and it's cool because we got problems in this country. Yeah, we do. And you being down there on your knee ain't doing us a damn bit of good.
That's right.
Get up and,
And
get
do
your butt in the
something.
chair and get to work.
Not all football people are worth looking up to, from what I remember, like basketball players too.
That's always going to be the case. Falling, it happens all the time.
I can name many instances.
But the point is, be prepared, and don't be bashful.
Americans, know your history.
Know your history and be proud of it.
Be proud of it.
But don't all this stuff that's going on, right? And that was another thing that's on our little whiteboard is about the Alamo. I said this was coming. I've been saying this was coming for a long time, and here we are. Woke me up at 2 a.m. I had to publish a thing on. I'll get into it in a minute, but you gotta, as Bocce said, you gotta know your history. But you can't take even if yes, we had slave owners who were presidents, okay, but you cannot enforce current day standards on people who lived over 200 years ago.
That's right.
You can't do it.
Every one of them did not agree with slavery, including Robert E. Lee, by the way. They just didn't know how to get out of it at the time. It just wasn't timely.
How would you feel if the role were reversed? How would you feel if somebody from 200 years ago came up to you and cut your man bun off? Seriously.
That's right. Or say, lady,
This is
what
the
are you
first time
doing
I've
wearing
ever heard a
jeans?
man bun. I don't know if I've...
You don't know what that is?
No, I have no idea. I mean, like a woman putting their hair up in the back
Yeah,
and a
like a
knot.
bun. Yeah, they
Oh,
even made a
gee
Ken
whiz.
doll out
Little
of it.
boys are wearing them.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, gosh. Okay, go ahead.
It's the latest fashion statement.
I'm old school.
Yeah.
Sorry for the cough, folks. I have been sick in the earlier part of the week and hadn't gotten completely rid of it. I have to talk. I'm allowed to talk in spurts by my throat. So the take a knee thing, I have no place for it. I mean, I'm sorry. I happen to support not necessarily President Trump. I look at it the other way around. President Trump happens to support me.
That's a good way of putting it, Doc. You're absolutely right.
President Trump is my voice,
Yeah.
and I'm proud for him to take that lead
I like
on
that.
this particular issue.
Yes.
And he was absolutely correct, and there's no way he's going to lose in this fight
That's right.
because the people who are proud of this country far, far, far outnumber you idiots that are taking a knee. And I don't. This has nothing to do with the First Amendment.
It doesn't.
It really doesn't.
No.
It has to do with plain old common sense. This is the United States of America. If you weren't in the United States of America, you would not be being paid $10 million a year just because you're big.
And you probably wouldn't even have knees.
If you did something against a country's beliefs in another country,
Yep.
you would be like
Chopped
dead,
off.
tortured,
Yeah.
your family dead, tortured, everything.
And if you didn't have knees, well, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, so think of, just think it all the way through, folks.
Yep.
It's preposterous. It is totally unacceptable.
Think if you
So
at
what do
work and taking a knee. What is your boss going to think? What is he going to say to you? It's no different.
I happen to agree with you. So be prepared. I mean, I retired from professional football when Roger Staubach retired. The vast majority of our audience is going, who?
Yeah, right?
Number 12, the Dallas Cowboys. Look it up. And there was a guy on the sidelines by the name of Tom Landry. When those two guys got out of the game, I got out of the game.
He
All
was
right?
class.
I used to kind of hang on from time to time and watch the Super Bowl just to see the ads, to see what was new and different about the ads. And those have gotten so trashy, I have no interest in doing that anymore. I will not support the NBA. There's just too much money involved in these guys, which elevates them to what they think is Hollywood status, or what they think, because they're making all kinds of money for playing a game and entertaining
Exactly.
the poorly informed United States citizens. I mean,
when are we going to stop this? All of this trash that's going on. I had a thought in my mind.
We're stopping it here tonight. That's why we're having a pre-Thanksgiving show. This is getting it all out of our system.
Right. But does every American institution need to fall before we realize?
We don't know. Let me give you an example. Let me try to give you an example.
Good.
I don't have an answer to your question. And I realize it was a rhetorical question when you asked it in the first place.
Right.
For those of you that don't know, that means a question to which Uncle Bocce did not really expect an answer.
Correct.
But he wanted me to think about it. As a comparison, when someone is hooked on alcohol or hooked on drugs or hooked on any other bad influence in their life, how low do they have to go? Everybody around them knows it's happening. Everybody around them is trying to tell them it's happening.
That's right.
Right?
Right.
All the countries around America are going, guys, please, you're our last hope for freedom. Get a grip.
Yes.
The answer is you don't know. And every individual, just like every individual is different, every country is different.
That's right.
Hopefully, say after me, President Donald J. Trump can turn it around. He is the tip of the iceberg to turn it around. He's not God. He's not a magic man. He's just a guy that had enough, and he happened to have enough money and enough guts and enough pride to stick his neck out and take it on.
That's right.
And he deserves, if he doesn't deserve our respect for that, he deserves our respect because he is the President of the United States.
Right. That's right.
That's
Respect for the
right.
office.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I'm fairly confident if I ever met him, I probably really wouldn't like him. Because with a few exceptions, I don't like people from his neighborhood.
New York.
I just don't. I never have, and I ain't going to start now. You know what I'm saying?
Sorry, New Yorkers.
I'm not. They don't like me very much. I tried them for 10 years. We didn't get along at all.
Yeah.
So, but he's the president, and he's got his heart and his soul and his entire being in the right place, whether you like it or not. And so if there's so much pushback going on, you got to know, folks, you got to know that there is an evil force, an evil group. I mean, we're fairly certain now that the FBI set up the Las Vegas shooter. He was an FBI gun runner. All right?
Really?
Yeah, just by the way, so I don't forget it. I said immediately when 15 fires, or 5 or whatever it was, fires started in California simultaneously at 11:30 at night. Yeah, that's natural. They've now arrested the arson. who set those fires.
See that?
Illegal alien.
Alien. Folks, how much?
In your basic sanctuary state,
Yes.
where ICE had a detainer out for this man, and 5 times he was released by the county authorities and not turned over to ICE. And it's the county that he just burned down.
Wow. Wow. That's hard to take.
So I'm sorry for the people that whose lives it affected. I'm tremendously sorry. It looks like nothing I've ever seen. Some of the videos, nothing I've ever seen.
It's really bad.
I mean, it's ashes. They're burned to the ground. So, folks, let that be your wake-up call. Don't just rebuild your house. Rebuild your country. Rebuild your life. Rebuild your state. Do it right.
The American people are good, and we don't see enough of it. But
Because
you hear about these guys that start fires and stuff,
we're on
taking knees.
We're on an internet radio. We're on an internet radio show, which we're in year 5. We've got several thousand, 8 to 10,000 listeners a week across all the different channels, right? At the most. NBC has that many in 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Good Morning America, flip it on. They throw out more garbage in 5 minutes because of the number of contacts, eyeballs they got, and ears they got. They can put out more garbage in 5 minutes than we can fight in 4 hours a month. We're not giving up.
No.
What we're asking for is help.
Is help.
Spread the word.
Spread it.
Just a little anecdote, a story that I saw.
Anecdote.
Anecdote.
I need a break.
Delta Airlines.
Yes.
Okay. Delta Airlines it was a passenger train, but they were a plane, but they were carrying the casket of a dead soldier, of one of our heroes from Niger.
Yeah, Niger. Yep.
A woman passenger knew that. She found out. She stood up and she started singing the national anthem.
National anthem? Good for her.
She started singing.
They joined?
They put her down.
Really?
The flight attendant came over and told her that she's not allowed to do that on this airline. Period. It's a company policy. Can you imagine?
When did that happen?
The woman was in tears afterwards, saying, "I was not brave enough.
When was that?
I should have said." This was just a couple days ago.
I want it out there.
Yeah,
Right,
I mean,
those-
it's it's not only on the football field.
That was where that was kind of where I lost my train of thought when we went down the knee thing. The power that we have is the power, the boycott, the power of the purse. There's an application out there you need to get called Second Vote. Second Vote. The number 2ND vote. Second Vote. Get it on your phone. And what it does is it tells you the companies that like-minded folks, strong American patriots support. And it tells you what companies spend their money on and what they don't spend it on. So it tells you where, who to support. Do you support Walmart or do you support Costco? You might be surprised at the answer at who is the most patriotic company. I guarantee you're going to be surprised. All right? But it goes down the list. It'll give you local information. You can look out there. It's got all the latest stuff. Because that kind of thing about Delta, they ought to be grounded. They should be grounded. The Federal Aviation Administration,
right.
just like Trump is talking about taking NBC off the air because they're publishing fake news, yanking their license, you either tell the truth or you're not allowed to work here. The same thing
what
should
we
be true
need.
with Delta Airlines.
Yeah.
You either let the people of the United States be the people of the United States, or you're grounded.
That's right.
Front row. Time to go. You have been listening to the Doc Owen Show. Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it. Now go out there this week and take care, pay attention, and God bless.
Bye-bye, folks. God bless.